So lipless crankbaits like the Sensation Mega Trap is a 3/8 ounce lipless bait that's really great during winter months, especially when that water's first started to cool. You've had a couple of those big fronts move through that we have over the past couple of weeks, and you're going to find those fish relating to a 45-degree or even greater angle bank. So you might be fishing sheer cliffs. We're out here at Whitbank, and this bank drops off into that 6-meter range, so that 18-foot range. And one of the best ways to target those fish, especially if they're suspending either just above the bottom or they're actually hugging the bottom, is with a lipless crankbait, and that's by yo-yoing. It's similar to how you'd fish a jig. So the main technique is cast it out, let your bait get down. You can count it down. This 3/8 ounce falls at about a foot every half a second, maybe a little bit faster. You let that bait get all the way down. You can even release line on the spool if you want. Once it hits bottom, the idea is not to rip this bait. So in winter you're not going to find any bait fish that relate to these steeper banks aren't going to be moving incredibly fast. You're just going to want to lift your rod tip up and then reel in your slack. Let it fall back to the bottom. You'll notice as soon as it hits bottom, and working it very similar to a jig. You're not going to work this bait with your reel. It's all rod, and let it fall back down again. So a nice thing is, feel the bait coming through, a bit of brush there. You can fish this on a relatively light rod. So if you have a weightless rod, this is the Okuma Serano. It's a 7-foot medium. So it is a rod that can double quite a couple of things, and the reason that I like a medium action rod when fishing a bait like this is that you're going to be able to get a good hook set with that lipless, plus it's not moving that bait too much like you would do if you had a composite rod that was loading up every time. So you're picking up that bait quite quickly, and then once it's out the strike zone, just bring it back. When you're yo-yoing any lipless style bait, you're going to want to be making 45-degree casts to the bank. You want to cover as much of the depth zone as possible, so this bank transitions down and there's a bit of a hump that comes out of here. You want to keep that bait in the strike zone for as long as possible, so you just let it get down and then work it across those ledges. If you work it just straight back to you, if I had to just cast straight out to the bank now, it will just pendulum back into dead water. So unless those fish are positioned off the first ledge, you're kind of going to be wasting a lot of water when fishing. So for gear setup for the larger mega trap, you're going to be looking for a 7-foot medium action rod. I've paired it up with a 7-to-1 gear ratio reel and a 12 to 14 pound fluoro. You want that line to just help the bait get down without creating too much of an arc. And that's a pretty simple presentation to go about. You can fish it slower, you can fish it faster. You can increase the height of how high you hop the bait. My suggestion is that you don't hop, you just pull and lift and then drop back down again. But get out there and give it a try.